Yo, what's up, guys? It's Nick, aka Nick Can't Mine here, and I'm back with another episode of Meet the Taco Plebs. Today, I got a really special guest. It's Denizs Saat from Twitter. I'm sure you all know him. I've known Denizs for a while on Twitter now. We met on the timeline, and he came to Bitcoin Kindergarten like every week for a while, and he pops in pretty frequently still, and it's really nice talking to him. He has really good insights on things. We agree on a lot of stuff, and actually he just wrote a fire article for Bitcoin Magazine that published today, and today's Friday, so you should be hearing this tomorrow on Saturday. So the article's already out. Definitely go read it if you haven't already. But yeah, without further ado, Denizs, what's up? Thanks for coming on.
What's up, Nick? Super humbled to be here. Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I knew I've wanted to get you on the show for a while now, and I'm really glad that we could find time this week to make it work. So just right off the bat, what's your rabbit hole story, and how did you find Bitcoin?
I have to think about this a few times because sometimes I forget. I don't know, my memory's like pretty bad. But I think the first time I heard about Bitcoin was when it reached 1K. So this was back in, I want to say like the winter of 2013. So I was kind of just chilling. I was working at my college doing IT. This is basically the same time around that I started doing IT. At the time, like a couple of years prior to that, I was really into stocks and equities. I was pretty much into stocks and equities like until 2018, when I started to see things as like, well, Bitcoin is way better in terms of, just like utility. But I forgot about it for a while until I think 2016, 2017, when there was buzz again. I thought Bitcoin was like, I don't know, basically just Chuck E. Cheese tokens and like, I don't know, just something you can't really use like practically because it's so new and different from like what was available in traditional markets. So I think I probably started shitcoining around like the end of 2017. So basically like at the peak of everything, I was like, let's just throw some money in here. Let's see what happens. Luckily I didn't throw in too much, but still like, $1,000 in Bitcoin would have been way better than certain coins that we will not mention here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't start taking it seriously until I noticed the cyclical waves. I was like, wait a minute, this happened before. What makes it, what says it's not going to happen again? And I had to figure out why. Like, why was it happening like every 4 years? So I kind of went into that rabbit hole. Basically, I got in because of price. That was like my entry point. I was like, why are people pumping this up so hard during these certain periods of time? But yeah, and then I got into mining, unfortunately. So like think of every possible mistake you could have made to get into Bitcoin. I probably did that. Started shitcoining before getting into Bitcoin, started doing the mining thing, buying a whole like computer that I still have. I actually appreciate the computer, so I still use that. That's kind of practical. But mining off of it and making money was like not the way to go. Definitely not the way to start. And then I think I got into Robinhood at one point. I was like, wait, they offer Bitcoin on here? Like, why don't I just buy some Bitcoin here? Like that was pretty dumb. So I had to go through the whole process of taking basically selling whatever they called Bitcoin on there and then rebuying it through Coinbase because I was still a noob. I was like, I don't know where to buy. I'm just going to use Coinbase. Got kind of hit with fees there, but it's that's the learning process. I was still like adamant about like figuring out what's the best way to be in this space. So little by little, I was like, this is fun. This is way better than equity markets. I'm not judged as much, and people here are really chill. The only time that I guess things are like kind of heated is when you start pumping other coins in front of Bitcoiners, and it's like, yeah, probably shouldn't do that. It's just not worth the time. It's not worth the time or anything to mention any other coins.
Oh, 100%. I remember thinking the same thing as you when I found Bitcoin around the same time as you did. Well, I didn't find it around $1,000. I mean, when I found it, it was, towards the late ending of 2017. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember thinking, this thing has been pumping since like day one. Why
Mm-hmm.
would it, not continue to keep on pumping? Like, why would it go to zero all of a sudden? And that's one of the main things that kept me interested in engaged in Bitcoin as well. So like I got in for the price too, like 100%. And I shitcoined. I never got into mining. I tried to, but I just didn't. I didn't pull the trigger for whatever reason. But
Mm-hmm.
it's I think like you shouldn't be ashamed of shitcoining or like some of the mistakes in the past, because like I just think it shows like how far you've grown in Bitcoin since the start. Like, I mean, it takes a lot of learning to go from shitcoining and making silly little mistakes to being like a solid sovereign Bitcoiner.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think what really pushed me over the edge was I read first I read Jekyll Island, and then I read 1984 like back to back, like around 2018 when I had the mining rig up. So I was getting a little Bitcoin, but like I didn't have it in my radar to be like I got to go all in on this thing, man. But
hmm
I think it really solidified what uh, Bitcoin could fix and is fixing.
hmm Um, when you found Bitcoin around $1,000, like, can you expand a little bit more on like what you were thinking about it? What were your first impressions? Did you dive into uh learning about it at all, or were you just like, oh, it's probably nothing?
I was a super Warren Buffett fan during that time. So basically what he said was gospel for my stupid normie brain at the time. After hearing his input on what Bitcoin was, basically he hates any like, I don't know, anything like gold. But recently he actually invested in a company that just does gold mining, so that's kind of funny. He's sort of coming around, but like I don't think he will. I don't think he'll come to the same conclusions. Yeah, I think I remember, and also it's kind of messed up because I had the impression of the Winklevi twins from that movie, Social Network. I was like, what are these guys? These guys are like, they're assholes, they're scammers. I'm not going to get into that if they're into it. But that's like, that's totally not the case. I mean, yeah, they shit go in here and there, and it's like, I wish you wouldn't do that. But like, I still respect them for getting in so early, like super early.
hmm Um,
So yeah, I think the people around it and what traditional finance was saying about Bitcoin that really turned me off around 2013, and then I didn't get back in until so like 2017 towards the top. I was like, oh man, like what's going on here?
I heard Warren Buffett doesn't invest in anything he doesn't understand,
hmm
and I get what he's saying, but it's also, I think that's like a really bad way to go about things, because
hmm
I mean, I saw him like talking about an interview he did with Bill Gates or something, and Bill Gates was like, "Oh, I'm making these computers. The future is going to be full of technology. You gotta get a computer in your house. Everyone's going to have one." And Warren's response was like, "Oh, well, does it affect my gum stock? No. Oh, well, then I'm just not going to buy it." And
Yeah,
it turned
man.
out to be very wrong about that.
hmm Oh yeah, he's proven wrong every day, and I'm like, guys, he's been underperforming. I guess the S&P as well for like the last, I don't know, decade or something. But he has those two new guys. They're investing more into like stocks like Apple and Amazon. But that's not where the fun is anymore. Bitcoin all the way, man.
100%. I'm right there with you. So, I'm wondering, has Bitcoin changed your life in any way? And if so, how?
Oh man. Yeah, it definitely has. I'd say it's put me like deeper from where I started. So I was always a frugal guy. I think around when I was 19, 18 or 19, I was like, man, how do I make money? How do you become rich? So I've been thinking about that for a while. But yeah, I'm always thinking of ways to save money. I don't know if you remember this, but I think I post stuff about like credit cards or whatever here and there. Um, that's technically one of the ways, I guess. So if I'm going to get as much bang for my buck, I'm going to use a credit card and get like points returned or anything like that. I'm not going to go to a barber. I'm going to cut my own hair. I don't care. So I think a lot of what Pierre posts about, like, don't do this. Instead, just buy Bitcoin. That's basically what I do. Like he hits some points where I'm like, man, I'm already doing that. Pierre, what do you like? I don't know. I feel like we're kind of the same person in that regard.
Yeah,
At least with that attitude, it's really weird. I don't know.
that's funny. I some of his tweets, I think they're a joke, but like he had one the other day that I know was a joke. He was like, evict your children if they're not accumulating Bitcoin. Like, it's funny.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's something. Yeah, I've definitely said that at one point. It was just like, get rid of your kids, get rid of your wife, just buy Bitcoin. That's all you need.
But I've seen like across Bitcoin Twitter, like everyone wants, the way I see it is, everyone's in a race to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible before we moon again. And
Mhm.
I feel like to outsiders, and this is just like, don't take this like too seriously, but like to the
Mm.
outsiders, like people not in Bitcoin, we don't want them in Bitcoin yet.
Mhm.
So it's like we're not going to go around preaching the word of Bitcoin so they can accumulate. But it's like if other Bitcoiners on Bitcoin Twitter, it's like you're telling them like, hey, you got to stack more sats so you can get rich with me. And it's
Mhm.
everyone seems to be living like ultra low time preference, selling all the stuff they have, like not buying any materialistic stuff just so they can stack more Bitcoin. And like you're one of the people I think of, who does that perfectly and better than a lot of other people.
Mhm. Yeah, like I see a lot of the merchandise on Twitter, and I'm like, man, I do actually kind of want that, but like at the same time, nah, I can't do it. I just can't do it right now. Maybe in 2025, I'll get some merch, but like right now, it's just that's not the priority, to be honest.
Hmm. It's like we live, and I know like Dave Ramsey says stuff like this, but it's like we live like no one else right now. So in the
Hmm.
future, we can live like no one else, like we live ultra low time preference right now. So in the future, if we want to be a little high time preference and buy a nice car, a nice house, a nice this, whatever, or just afford a better life, we can do
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I live in New York City, and it's just not cheap to do anything, anything over here. I think since like after college, I was like, man, I hate spending money here. I just feel ripped off every time, like every single time. But it is what it is. But yeah, these are just like present problems. It's just whatever. Like I don't care. I'll go through the muck and grime and get out of it, like winning, like everyone else on Twitter.
Let's go. I love to hear that, dude. But moving into my next question is, what is, in your opinion, the most amazing thing about Bitcoin?
Man, you said this was gonna be easy. The most amazing thing, man. I don't know actually. I guess for me personally, it's just getting in so early to something that I have like so much control over. Because I feel like, especially when I was younger, like I had anxiety. I was like, I don't have control in anything in my life. Uh, but once, definitely when I started going hard around like 2018, and then seeing that like 5K pump, I was like, oh man, I just got confirmation. I'm in the right place. I know where I need to be. I think it, yeah, it it basically just solves every single monetary problem that we're going through. And I always knew the answer was like in the money. It's like we can't solve it by throwing money at it, but like we need to help people with giving them financial literacy. I didn't know it was Bitcoin at the time, but like I was searching and searching for that type of answer. Because I remember talking to a friend a while ago. We were just walking by the water. He was saying, I don't know, he was just telling me about like all of his problems because, you know, he's not in like the best situation. And I was thinking, yeah, like maybe at some point I can work on like an app or something just to help with financial literacy, and maybe if there was like some sort of investment product just to help people not worry as much about finances. Like they would just put money in there and it'd pay residuals and, you know, just help them. But yeah, it just took it was just a long winding journey to come to the conclusion that Bitcoin was the perfect place to be.
Mm-hmm. I've said it like multiple times on Twitter and in articles and stuff. I think that there is a huge lack of financial education in the country, which leads to people making, you know, poor decisions with their money. And it's sad to see. And I definitely think like, you know, that app idea, I think it's perfect. Like if you're to go through with that, I think that especially if we hit like a big recession and people, you know, are like, okay, I'm sick and tired of, you know, not knowing what's going on, not understanding my money, etc. And they see this, you know, this free app or whatever by Denizs, you know, Bitcoin is Saat stacker extraordinaire, you know, they'll be like, okay, like maybe I'll download this and learn some stuff about money. But I do agree with you. We are so ridiculously early. And I don't know if that's just me being a complete bulltard or not, but I think we're so early.
Yeah, man. I was doing the math. It's just insane. It's insane. Like how early it is.
It's funny to me that when like my brother, whenever I talk to him, he is fully like, he's like, Nick, Bitcoin will never hit 20K again. Like everyone in the world already bought Bitcoin. Like it can't go that higher. Like, and so many people are like, man, I just can't see Bitcoin hitting, you know, super low numbers like 20K or, you know, 30K or 50K. And like it reminds me of that meme of that old lady and she's like, honey, you got a huge storm coming, or like, you know, something like that. Like people don't understand what's in store for Bitcoin, and it's like that's good for us because the less people in right now, the more sats we get to accumulate.
Yeah, like even going back to that app idea, I do actually have a website. It's a work in progress, but basically when I show people that website, it's basically just Bitcoin only type of information. The whole point was to get individuals and organizations to just put a Bitcoin address up there, because the whole payment system's, it's already set. Like there's no, like there's, I don't know, like there are improvements to be made slowly but surely. But let's say there is a company, or I don't know, like what's a good one? Humanities type of organization. I totally forgot the name. But like if you have a service, or if you're just seeking donations as an individual, you could just put your address up there and just share like the web page, and it'll give you a profile and like a little video of like why you need the money or whatever, and you could just be from like any part of the world. But yeah, it's just it's a work in progress. I totally forgot where I was going with that. But basically, the whole point is to provide that information and that literacy for people. But yeah, I've been working on that for a bit, and that's just sort of how I came into, I guess, writing more about Bitcoin.
Oh, that sounds awesome. If it's cool, you can DM me the link to the website and I can get in the description.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Give me your thoughts on it. It's been a work in progress for a while. I just haven't been adding articles to it because there have been other outlets that I've been writing for and they pay. So I was like, I'm gonna stack sats before I do this whole little project by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that. Well,
Yeah.
how did you get into writing Bitcoin? Like, what made you want to sit down and say, put your thoughts on paper and get it out there for people to read? Because you got some great stuff.
Thanks, man. Oh yeah. So that does come back to my point. So it's like to get a certain amount of credibility, I was like, all right, I need to set up a website with all these links, all these sources, and I need to explain it in the best way that it possibly can, in my own words. So people are, not to say convinced, but like, so I have conviction in myself to know that this is true. Like, this is how Bitcoin works. This is how mining works. This is how nodes work, etc. And that's pretty much why I left my face up on Twitter as well. I know like everyone has an Anon account, but I was like, there are certain people who just won't get into it unless there's like credibility behind it, or like, like a real person's name.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine telling a boomer or something like, yeah, you should really check out this account. And then, I don't know, it depends on like the type of person, I guess. A lot of people want like a name and face and credibility or whatever behind them, like known websites. So I guess, yeah, like that's kind of the audience I'm like shooting for. It's like, yeah, they have all their savings in equity markets. I just gotta nudge them, like plant the seed with what I'm doing with the website and what I'm doing on social media, just to be like, yeah, like it won't hurt to put in that, 0.5 or 1% of whatever you're throwing into the stock market just towards Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the anons are necessary. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
I totally agree with you. I remember actually listening to a podcast that John Vallis did with Connor Brown, and they talked about that exact thing where some people are not anonymous or they don't have a pseudonym on Twitter. They just go by their first and last name with their actual face. And I do think that is, I totally agree with you. I think we need people out there like that. That gives it like that little, more credibility. Like it would be pretty difficult to go up to, let's say, my grandpa and say, hey, look at this cartoon character telling me to buy magic internet money. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to put my life savings into it. It's a lot better to say, hey, like, look at this guy, Pierre Richard or Michael Goldstein, and look at the quality work they've done. And this is why I'm interested in, this online revolution. It's
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like, you have to, like, if you're getting into the space, like when I was getting into the space, like I didn't really think about whether or not an account was credible. I just liked the information that they were providing. Like you, Nick, I remember, it was something about like hardware wallets. I was like, why won't we use this hardware wallet versus like Cold Card, and like you spelled it out. And I actually looked into it after that. I was like, oh yeah, what Nick was saying was like true. It's probably the way to go if you're gonna do cold storage on your own. But I don't know. I think it depends on like the person most of the time. But I just noticed that there are a lot of people that are like, yeah, man, I'm not going to follow that account. Like, who is that? Like, what do they do? Like, who is that person? They could be like a scammer or something. I don't know. It just takes a lot of critical thinking most of the time to just get past that.
Oh yeah. I remember when I first got into the Twitter scene and I followed like a bunch of shitcoiners. I was just like, okay, well, if they have over 10,000 followers, then they definitely know what they're doing. They're definitely some OG who's probably like a low-key millionaire. And I learned pretty quickly after a while that most of them are not, and most of them don't know what they're talking about, and that most of them, well, maybe not most of them, but a lot of them have actually bought their followers. So their followers are all bots and fake. And I started noticing that a lot of the accounts that were speaking the good shit and like stuff, I was like, oh, well, I didn't know that, about like Bitcoin and economics and stuff, where a lot of, you know, what we know now is the plebs, like a lot of the people who don't have the most followers, like most plebs have under 10,000 followers, you know, most have a few hundred or a couple thousand. And
Mm-hmm.
the stuff they say, man, like the conversations they get into, just the debates they have, it's all really good stuff. And after a while, I was like, okay, these, you know, smaller accounts are speaking some wisdom, but these bigger accounts are telling me I need to not listen to them and go all in on shitcoins X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna listen to these people over here, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. And I noticed a lot of people who follow me, I'm just like, are you a real person? I feel like you're just a bot. Like, I don't even know if this is real. So it's like, I just, the whole follower count thing is stupid at the end of the day. It's all about like, the Bitcoin plebs, man. It's all about that.
It took me a while to realize that, because when I was a shitcoiner, it's like I want a bunch of followers because then I'm gonna get rich and famous, blah blah
Hmm.
blah. Like and then I just think back to like even just what I said right there, rich and famous off crypto Twitter, like that just makes me cringe. It makes me cringe, dude.
Yeah, man.
Especially seeing after like American Hodl have so many accounts that like blew up. And then he's like, yeah, dude, having too many followers fucking sucks. Like,
Yeah.
having low amounts of followers where you can actually interact with the plebs and have meaningful conversations with them, that's like the sweet spot.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what's totally worth it.
So, we're getting towards the end of the interview, and I wanted to ask, what are your price predictions for New Year's 2021 and Bitcoin at the fourth halving?
Um, I do share every once in a while, just like my own little chart. Uh, but I'm not, it has nothing to do with like price. It's just sort of like based on time. So based on the amount of time, actually, let me see if I can pull it up, uh, just so I can reference the correct numbers. Oh man, buying that sub 12.8 felt pretty good right before this. Let's see. All right, so I do share like screenshots of the previous cycle versus now. I'm just calculating the time. So it took about 1,228 days for us to finally like stay above what was it, 1140 whatever from the last epoch, and then based on that, basically we'll probably break all-time high by April, like March, April. But everyone on Twitter is like, oh, it's going to happen like November, December. It's like, nah, I mean, we are technically ahead of schedule because around the same time period, we were down like 47%, 47.5% back in, what was that? October of 2016. And we're only down now by like 35-ish%. So people are definitely trying to front run this epoch, but I don't think we'll break or stay outside of 20K by uh, until basically March, April. And then for price, like by 2021, I don't know, man. I'd be happy with like 50K. Be
Okay.
totally happy with that.
I would be happy with that as well. I I know a lot of people love the idea that, and I'm not doubting that it will happen, because I definitely think it can. Because I mean, I know
Mm-hmm.
it can. I remember in 2017 when we saw it go up 5K in one day. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I hope we get a slower, more gradual rise for at least a little bit, so
Yeah,
that gives, you know, us more time to accumulate.
that's exactly my feeling. Like 3.8 back in last March, the previous March. Yeah, that was amazing. I want more of that, but I know it's not going to happen.
Oh, dude, I would do anything to accumulate 3K Bitcoin again.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Price predictions are like I don't know. It just doesn't matter. All that matters is like how much Bitcoin you have. I don't really care about fiat, man. It's taken a while for me to realize, oh yeah, fiat is trash. Like it doesn't even matter what the price is. I just need to get as much Bitcoin as I can.
Yeah,
I don't even.
Go ahead.
It's I don't know. It's just funny. It's just funny going from fiat to Bitcoin. I don't even know how long that took. It was probably more recent than I think, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember after a while, I would always say like, oh, Bitcoin's better. You want to hold Bitcoin, fuck USD. But it took me a while to actually believe it. And even though I was saying it, like once I actually believed it, it was like that light bulb moment, like, holy shit. I really got to get rid of my US dollars for Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, based on this price action, I don't think it's going to be gradual. It's just going to be like, it's going to be a huge pop, man.
Well,
it's just higher than it was last time. There's just more demand. It's crazy.
Well, this is definitely exciting times for all of us going ahead. So much happens in a bull market. So much opportunity is there to make money, new connections, like, build your app, etc. But that was my last question for the interview. So I had a really good time. I always have a really good time chatting with you. And yeah, man, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Yeah, it's always a pleasure talking to you too, man. Getting more and more bullish every time we talk.
Let's go. So if you guys made it to the end of the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, as well as check out Deniz's Twitter. The link will be down below. Hit him with a follow. Discuss Bitcoin stuff with them. I'm sure you guys will love it. Trust me. I speak from experience. So without further ado, I'm going to end this video, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Hold on to the pavement. Hit me, love me for grateful recognition.